For anyone not familiar, the Angel is an enigmatic figure in Deltarune's lore. On the surface, it remains shrouded in mystery, but all signs point to it being the key to the story's endgame. Labeling it as a hero or villain is complicated. Some characters speak of it as a figure of hope, destined to save the world. Others as a harbinger of destruction, fated to bring about the end of everything. So its image shifts between genocide, pacifism, neutral, and the unknown. At first glance, it seems logical to assume the Angel is a character being saved for future chapters. But what if we've already seen it? What if the game, subtly, has already shown it to us without us even noticing? Or rather, what if we've already seen the two halves of what it truly is? What you're about to see isn't some brand new revelation or a half-baked theory. It's an idea that's been floating around for a while, mentioned briefly in a few analyses and videos, but one that has rarely been explored with the depth it deserves. That's why this theory goes beyond simple speculation. It aims to build a solid case, backed by details, clues, and connections carefully hidden throughout the game. Personally, I've been shaping this idea for years, and I've come to believe in it completely. I hope that you'll come to see it with new eyes too. So get ready for this 3-part saga, where the Angel's identity will guide us to uncover everything that will happen in the weird route and its meaning. And finally, the end of the game itself. And the first step is to look at some of the... Like many characters in Deltarune, the Angel has its roots in Undertale. However, its appearances in that game are few and far between, limited to just 3 concrete mentions, from Gerson, on the signs in Waterfall, and by the River Person. The Waterfall signs describe the Angel as the one who has seen the surface, and who will one day return, causing the underground to become empty. The River Person, enigmatic as always, simply states, "The Angel is coming." Gerson, the tortoise historian, offers the most context. He speaks of a prophecy foretelling that an angel who has seen the surface will descend to bring freedom. However, he also notes that in recent times, many monsters have grown to fear this figure, renaming it the Angel of Death, and seeing it as a herald of destruction rather than hope. Gerson, for his part, doesn't take it too seriously, humorously remarking that he thinks the angel symbol is neat. The symbol is a circle with wings accompanied by 3 triangles below, which represent the monsters. In some places, like the church, these triangles are absent from the emblem. Symbolically, this is because the monsters are already physically present inside the temple, praying to the angel. Although direct references to the angel are minimal in Undertale, its symbol is scattered throughout Deltarune, appearing in churches, on altars, and even as part of the world's design. This suggests its presence is constant, though subtle, and that its role will be, or already is, fundamental to the narrative. But the angel symbol isn't just decorative. Asriel's final form as the god of hyperdeath bears a direct resemblance to the emblem. Outstretched wings, with 3 hearts positioned similarly to the triangles, which on the surface might seem to confirm his identity. After all, he calls himself the Angel of Death, and it's through his actions that the underground is emptied and the monsters are finally freed. However, while this seems to solve the mystery, the truth is, Asriel isn't the only character who takes on an angel-like form. If we look closely, Undyne the Undying, Metaton Neo, and even Asgore, among other minor examples, also adopt forms reminiscent of the angel symbol. Undyne and Metaton Neo are particularly notable as their bodies transform completely into angelic-looking figures. This led me to a conclusion. Perhaps the form Asriel takes at the end of the pacifist route doesn't define his identity as the angel, but simply represents a symbol of power. If monsters view the angel as a divine figure from an ancient, nearly forgotten prophecy, it makes sense that their most powerful forms would evoke that image as a symbolic tribute or aspiration. In that sense, neither Asriel, nor Undyne, nor Metaton is the angel. They merely reflect its iconography when they reach their peak power. This leaves us with only one possibility. Frisk. According to the Undertale prophecy, the angel is a being who knew the surface and would descend to empty the underground. Frisk fits both conditions. Depending on the player's choices, they can either 1. Free the monsters and lead them to the surface, the pacifist route, or 2. Exterminate them and leave the underground devoid of life, the genocide route. Both interpretations fit the ambiguous phrase, empty the underground. So yes, all signs seem to point to Frisk being the angel. But that leads to a new question. Does this mean Frisk exists in Deltarune? The answer is no, and as this theory unfolds, you'll see that's not the case at all. Not in Undertale or Deltarune. But how can that be? What if all the clues point to Frisk? I know it sounds contradictory. Everything seems to indicate that Frisk fits the description. But if we want to truly understand who the angel is, we must leave behind what we think we know from Undertale, and focus on the game literally named after the angel symbol. Because Deltarune, while may seem less direct at first glance, it's the game that gives us the most information about the angel. It does so through scattered fragments, small phrases, and hidden symbols, like a trail of breadcrumbs left for us to follow. Okay, sorry for interrupting the video, I just wanted to mention something real quick. While I was working on this video, a subscriber let me know that someone created a Discord server called WizTales Deltarune Pit, pretending to be me and treating artists in really unacceptable ways. So let me make this absolutely clear. I do not have a Discord server, and I never will. Running one takes way too much work and moderation, and I'd rather focus all that energy on making the best videos possible. If you can report that server, or at least help spread the word that it's not mine, I'd really appreciate it. Also, just to be 100% clear, I don't have any social media accounts either, and I never will, for the exact same reason. It's just too much work that takes away from the videos. So if you ever see a comment from someone claiming to be me on Reddit, Discord, Facebook, or anywhere else, that's not me. And if I ever do decide to open anything like that, I'll announce it in a video and on the community tab. That said, thanks for your time, and sorry again for the interruption. Let's get back to the video. The first mention, Ralsei's prophecy. The first concrete reference to the angel in Deltarune appears in the prophecy Ralsei recites in chapter 1. It essentially says, "For centuries, light and dark have lived in balance, bringing peace to the world. But if this harmony is broken, a great calamity will occur. The sky will fill with terror, the land will tremble, and the world will draw to its end. Only then 3 heroes will appear, a human, a monster, and a prince from the dark, with the mission to seal the fountains and banish the angels' heaven, and only then will the world be saved." In this context, the angel seems to be a dangerous or disruptive entity that must be cast out. However, as the chapters progress, this interpretation becomes increasingly ambiguous. New prophecies emerge, contradictions mount, and what once seemed like a clear-cut villain becomes quite the opposite. In the world of Deltarune, the angel isn't just part of an ancient prophecy. It's an active figure in the light world, with an established religion centered around it. One of the clearest examples of this reverence is in the town's church. There, at the very top of the building, is the angel symbol, a circle with wings. However, unlike other depictions, the 3 triangles representing monsters are missing. This is intentional. The angel figure, the circle with wings, is at the highest point, while the triangles, the monsters, are down below, inside the church, praying. In other words, this version of the symbol doesn't need to show the triangles, because they are already physically present beneath the angel, worshipping it. This detail reinforces the idea that the angel is a central figure of faith in Deltarune, revered by those who see it as a guide, a protector, or perhaps something far more complex. Unfortunately, there is very little dialogue, only one line really, that speaks of the angel as a religious figure. However, we do have characters like Rudy who talk about an angel. It's an angel doll. Its lack of facial features is unsettling. That angel? Noelle and Des made at in youth group. It's kind of like a good luck charm for me now. Oh right, you and Azzy tried to make one too, but you spent the whole time making huge wings for it. While this dialogue might seem insignificant, it will be crucial for what we discuss later. But what about mentions of the angel as a religious being? Father Alvin, the priest in Deltarune, and therefore the character who should know the most about the religion surrounding the angel, has a very specific line when he blesses the protagonist. "May the angel's power light your way." This brief sentence encapsulates one of the key concepts of the game. light. The word light is repeated constantly in Deltarune. Lighteners, the balance of light and darkness, etc. But two songs in particular give us clear clues about the meaning of that light and its direct connection to the angel. Don't Forget and Raise Up Your Bat. Don't Forget is a special song. Not only does it open the game, but its melody is the central leitmotif that repeats throughout the entire adventure. This alone tells us its message is critical to understanding the story. One of its verses says,
"When the light is running low and the shadows start to grow and the places that you know seem like fantasy."
The song foreshadows what will happen during the roaring, when the balance between light and dark is shattered.
There's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts.
It tells us that even if everything seems to fall apart, a light will keep shining within the soul, even in the cold and darkness.
Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
A light that doesn't fade, and seems tied to a presence that remains with you in the dark. The second song, Raise Up Your Bat, makes the connection even more direct. The heart becomes an arc, a luminous guide to navigate the darkness. Think about the connections. The light inside your soul, with your heart as the arc, which shall shine you the way. Let the angel's power light your way. It's not just that both songs explicitly mention a light within the soul, the same light Father Alvin refers to, but that the soul can literally generate light, as shown in Chapter 4. This light is used to help the protagonists, especially during the Titan battle, where it's the only thing that can dispel the creatures of darkness it summons. Furthermore, this same light appears when the angel doll, presumably the one made by Noel and Des, falls on the soul. As you can see, this isn't exclusive to the Dark World. And considering that what falls on the soul is literally an angel doll, the interpretation is straightforward. But there's even more evidence that the angel is the soul, that it's us. The angel banished will finally meet its desire. This is from the prophecy in Chapter 4. And while the characters seem confused when they look at the black screen meant to represent the angel, they aren't just seeing nothing. Ralsei literally says, "So this is what it looks like." And Susie's expression isn't one of simple confusion at an empty screen. So what are they really seeing? They're seeing our reflection. If you get close enough to a black screen, you see your own face. They are literally seeing a real human. That's why Susie, with a mix of confusion and unease, says she doesn't know what that is. The angel of the prophecy is us, represented by the light that inhabits Chris's soul. And this applies to both games. In Undertale, we are the angel of death or the savior depending on the path we choose. More evidence for us being the angel can be found in the game's introduction. It seems someone is contacting us. This narrator, let's call them that, is the only character who seems to know we exist, or at least shows it most directly. After the initial questions, the soul is created in response to a single query. Are we connected? This suggests a character within the game has summoned us. Remember entry number 17 from Undertale? I believe the experiment this mysterious character is referring to is precisely this summoning. Our summoning. The first time we see the soul in the intro, when we are summoned. In that scene, the animated background mimics ocean waves, the exact same textures seen in the dark fountains. We were summoned through a dark fountain, hence the darkness keeps growing. Someone is experimenting with us. And the final question, what do you two think? I believe the speaker is addressing both Chris. They seem to be the only two characters who might understand the soul's true nature. Though who knows if Sans or Pyperius are also involved, especially Sans, who definitely knows what's going on. But that's a topic for another day. And who could the narrator be? Well, I think you've probably guessed by now. Furthermore, our nature within the game is profoundly different and supernatural compared to any other character. When we follow the weird route in Chapter 4, we're even able to read the character's thoughts. Noelle is left stunned and terrified when she realizes this. And it doesn't stop there. The player can also access a seemingly unused monologue that expands with each new chapter. This monologue comes from an apparently trapped character who mentions sometimes hearing something, like a scratching sound. The only one who can access this dialogue is the player, by digging into the game's code. Indeed, the player is the only one who could fit this role. Just as the angel is depicted above the triangles representing the monsters, we too are far, far above these characters. Spamton is one of the few characters aware of the soul's existence. Upon reaching his Neo form, he's frustrated that he's still a puppet on strings. This leads him to believe the key to his coveted freedom lies in Chris's soul. This wouldn't be so significant if not for the fact that, in addition to being one of the few characters directly aware of Chris's soul, Spamton constantly talks about heaven during this fight. He wants to rise above it and break through the darkness, believing Chris's soul is the key. Perhaps he thinks that since the soul is a link between the angel, that is, us, and Chris, stealing it would grant him access to heaven and, more importantly, allow him to transcend the darkness into the light world. During his battle, he even asks, "Is heaven watching?" This might seem like a sign of his insanity, but the truth is, he's right. Heaven, the angel, us, was watching the whole thing. Additionally, Spamton has another line of dialogue in this fight where he describes Chris's body feeling heavenly. Spamton is so aware of this that there's even a dialogue line in the weird route where he mentions an angel. He could be referring to Noelle, who wears the ring on this route. However, given all the preceding evidence, and considering this dialogue wouldn't even appear if it weren't for us, I'm convinced Spamton is speaking directly to us, asking if we are looking for the Thorn Ring. But this is just scratching the surface. As I mentioned at the beginning, the angel has two halves. It's a character that, as of now, isn't fully formed, but one part of it is actively seeking to become whole. And if we've already established that the angel is us, or at least a part of us based on all the evidence presented, I have to wonder, what other character in the game is hinted at being an angel? Why do we actively pursue Noelle in the weird route? If we're meant to be the angel of destruction on that path, wouldn't it make more sense to just continue the slaughter, eliminating more darkness? So why her? The answer is as simple as it is difficult to explain, so we'll save it for the next video in this series, which will come sooner if I see a lot of support for this one. I'll just tell you this, to understand it, we first need to understand what the soul is in Deltarune and what its true nature is, why it has such a deep correlation with Chris and a discarded vessel, what will happen when the angel is created, and though I may sound strange at first, how all of this will strongly remind you of what happens with Chara and Undertale. So stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. I'll see you soon in The Truth Behind the Soul, and why it defines Deltarune's finale.